Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I have a Christmas card to share with you because it's the third Thursday of the month, so let's get cracking on Christmas, an initiative by Jen Shirkus, where we are creating each third Thursday of the month a Christmas card so that we can get cracking on Christmas, get some Christmas cards ready before we are nearing Christmas, because I don't know about you, but I never have enough Christmas cards, and this way I will already have 12 cards if I can continue to do this every third Thursday. Also, of course, in between I make Christmas cards as well, and there will be a period when Christmas is really close that I will of course start creating much more Christmas cards than just one per month. But I just love this initiative. I love the way it is introduced, just one card already, and I know for some of you it's still really early, and a lot of you told me in July that you're going to start when the summer is over, and I completely get it. It's really hot outside. It's a bit strange maybe to create Christmas cards because then you might think of snow, but yeah, other people say, well, I'm starting on Christmas cards because it's too hot, and doing a snow kind of vibey card helps me with cooling down. Anything goes, of course, and if you find it too early, it's too early for you, that's perfectly fine. I really like having already a few Christmas cards ready, and from time to time it just gives me new inspiration for another card to create, and then I'm just a bit less stressed to get all those cards finished by Christmas. So for today's card, I decided to use the Furry and Bright stem set. This was one that is released by My Favorite Things, but already last year, and I realized that I only used it once. And I don't know if you recall, but in the beginning of the year, I sort of told myself that I should start creating more cards with one stem set and not just have one card, lay it aside, jump into the next new stem set, which is something I still do. And I just realized that when I was looking for a stem set for this Get Cracking on Christmas, I realized that this one, although I just adore this one, I only used it once. So with that idea in mind from the beginning of the year, I was really glad that I took this stem set, and I just decided that since I used reds on that card last year, that here I wasn't going to do red, so I went for this deep purple pinkish kind of color combination. And then last year I used the dog from this stem set, so today I'm using the cat. Just trying to use every element of this stem set once. Concerning the coloring, if you're curious about the combination later on, you can always find that on my blog post. I just love this combination. You already saw this one here because I reuse it quite often whenever I can. It's a lovely combination, and in between the lightest and the mid-tone, I really need a bit tip to tip to get that blend going. But truly, can it be deeper than this color combination? I don't know. I love it. And normally I use 2 layers to get my blend that I want. But here I was really glad with my first layer, so I decided to not add a second layer. It isn't always required. It's the same with the amount of markers you're using for a combination. Depending on how big that image or the element of the image is, you can sometimes just have enough with 2 markers, maybe even 1 if you don't want to do shadowing or it's just not necessary there. Anything goes actually, and here I was really glad with first layer, so why would I add a second one when I'm already happy with the first one? So I'm just doing all of the combination. I'm trying to sort of do all of the coloring with one combination at a time, and from time to time I forget a little element that I should have colored. Well, it happens. Here for the boots, I'm using the same combination as I did for the hair, but of course another technique since I don't need that hair kind of look here. And I'm just building my way through my marker combination, going from darkest to lightest. For the cat, I'm going to use a lighter combination since I already had this quite dark brown combination on the hair and boots. So I went for my favorite light brown combination, E33, E53, E51. That is one that always works for me. You can add more darker markers if you want to have a bit of a darker brown, but if you want to have a really soft kind of brown, then this one is really a dream. Personally, I find that to be the case. So I'm working my way through those markers. Here I'm going to add another layer on top because it just was too soft. I need a bit more of drama, if you know what I mean, and I just went a second layer. And if I need a third one, that's perfectly fine. I can just keep adding. Anything goes, really. And then actually the coloring is almost done. I contemplated a while how I was going to do a little present that she's holding, and then I decided to just add a bit more of that purple pinkish color that I used, quite dark. And then of course a color that works always with this one is like a really warm yellow, so I'm going to color that present in with some yellows as well. Really simple. It's truly these two together. I already used them in the past. I'm sure of it because it's a really strong combination. So that's really lovely about it. And then when the coloring is done, I'm going to take those matching dies and I will die cut these two images. And then we will get started on the ink blending. Which is something that I really love doing whenever I create a background. I have tried already to create some backgrounds with Copics, but for today's card, definitely I kept myself in my safe zone kind of area. So here matching dies, I'm just adhering them with some purple tape to help me keep them in place while I'm running it through my die cutting machine, and then we will do the ink blending. Therefore, I took a piece, well, an A2 sized card base or card panel, and I'm using the Watercolor Wash rectangle stencil, which is an amazing stencil. All of the watercolor washes, from my favorite things, there is a square, just the watercolor wash, and then the rectangle. They are just fabulous. I tested it out. I still wanted a sentiment a bit higher up for this card, so I tested whether that was going to work, and I think it does. There is always this thing that you can ink blend. You can do a focal point on your panel. It can be big like this one or smaller, and then you put your images in front. All the attention will be drawn towards that area and it will just shine. Another thing is of course a good combination of some inks. I'm going for a really dark night sky kind of feeling here, so I use black Soot, chipped Sapphire, and Stormy Sky, and I'm just going to let that lightest color fade out into the white area to just represent a bit of snow. So just softening every time that I go lower and building up those colors in the background. I will also be using some white gouache later on, so that snow kind of feeling will definitely be emphasized by all of the flicking that we will do on top of this background. And then this black Soot, I don't know about you, but just adding a tiny bit on the top is just great. Next, the sentiment. I'm just going to white heat emboss this on top of my background. I made sure to let it dry, heat embossed, well, heat set it again to make sure that my background was dry, and then after prepping this panel I added the Versamark and then my embossing powder. So let's melt this sentiment. Just really quickly, if you let your heat gun heat up ahead of time, you will have less warping because you only need a few seconds on your paper with that machine, which is really great then. Next, I'm going to add a few thin foam squares. The thing is that I wanted my images to be lifted, and you can always decide to do the flicking before adding your images, which will mean that there will be no flicks on your images themselves. And it's something that I do sometimes, but on other occasions, like this one, I want to have some snow overlapping with the images as well, that they are in the middle of the snow, you know? And then we need a few flicks on the images. So I'm first adhering them, and then I will take my Winsor and Newton Designer Gouache Permanent White, a really great one. It's the only one I have. And I just got this one. I was really happy with it. I never tried another one. I do have something from Copic, which is also like an opaque white thingy, but I don't know yet how to handle that one. So here I'm just doing the flicking everywhere. If you want to keep your white panel white around your stenciling, then you can definitely re-add the stencil on top. It's an option. I didn't do that because it's still white, you know, my flicking is white. And then I added it on top of my card base, just adding a few stickles here and there. This stickles is Stardust, which is my favorite thanks to Craft Room Adventures, Julia. I use this one. It's really great. And then a bit of glossy accents here and there, and then my card is completely finished. If you want to add more, you can of course add more. I hope that this still clean and simple card can inspire you in a way. If you enjoy the Get Cracking on Christmas, definitely follow the hashtag as well. Check out Jen Shirkus. She will also go live a bit later, not today but next week. And yeah, I hope that you get inspired, that you get cracking on Christmas, that you have fun creating, and I hope to see you back next time. Bye!